Hi everyone. Here's the thing. I really need to start my eggplants and peppers and even a little chamomile today. I feel like I'm already behind. But I keep finding other little projects to do instead of planting seeds. First off, let me show you. This is in no particular order. One, which I just started recently, is banana peels. Yes, they're good to feed your plants potassium and all that scientist stuff that I don't know anything about. But I was flipping through one of these channels randomly, and they said why you don't use banana peels in your plants, and all sorts of reasons. But the main takeaway for me is fungus gnats. If I soak my banana peels in water, let it sit there, get the concentration into the water, and then water my plants are going to be sweet and tasty for fungus gnats. And I have not figured out a way to get rid of them completely, and I don't want to keep breeding more and more of them. So I am dehydrating them. They'll be dry. I can pulverize it, and then the powder, which will actually concentrate the NPK, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, will be better for the seedlings, and the added bonus of not so many fungus gnats. That was one. Let's go to the next one. Here are some more tiny, well, this one's the biggest one. Is that the size of my thumb? Little onions that I harvested in the fall and stored away and forgot about. So I'm going to plant these and see if I can get those to bulb up. Monthly or so, I do a kombucha. So here's my SCOBY Hotel. And then weekly, I make my own pancake mix. Got my little recipe guide, which I cut in half because that's all that'll fit into this container. So that's pancake mix / waffle mix. I find that they're consistent either way. Just change the amount of liquid to, I make it a little bit thinner for waffles. And here is something recent. This was from last week. So I was thinking about my chickens, and I've been wanting to I've been wanting to do this for a bit. Sprouts. This is alfalfa sprouts that I give to the chickens. And then I got some sprouts for myself. And here's another batch going. So at first I just had cheesecloth on the bottom there, but I find that very wasteful, so I invested in the stainless steel mesh. So this is cool. I really like microgreens and the whole process, but I'm finding sprouts a little bit faster and cheaper than microgreens, so I think I'm going to go with that for now as my new go-to for greens in the winter. I've also gotten into a little bit more baking. I've been more motivated since I got my free KitchenAid, which I haven't really used that much, but just the idea of making breads and cookies has been sparked in me. So I've been making more of that. Yesterday's thing was randomly, somehow I watched Acre Homestead, and Becky's recipe on, what was it, goldfish and Oreo cookies came up. And so I was like, okay, I can make that. My kids love these things, and I am out of them. So I didn't have the exact ingredients, so I tried with what I had, and it's still delicious. And then last night, watching regenerative gardening, stinging nettle. I happen to have like half a gram. Was it a gram? 1 gram? No, 1 ounce. Half an ounce of nettles that I had dried after the summer. So I made tea. So this has been steeping since last night. So this I'm going to put in a sieve, and then it's supposed to be a teaspoon per gallon of water. So this is what I'm feeding my seedlings with. I've been like going back and forth because I don't really want to use something stinky like a fish or buy that stuff. So I think this is going to be the answer. Obviously, I don't have enough. I'll put it in the fridge to because I'm not going to use it all up. So I'll put some in the fridge, and this should get my seedlings through this growing period. But I'll have to definitely be serious about collecting more stinging nettle. I think I have comfrey somewhere. That's also a good one. You can use tons of so-called weeds and herbs in your garden. It's not just, it's not just stinging nettle. You can use usually deep rooting dandelions is good. Deep rooting plants because they're drawing up all that nutrients from the earth. So then if you harvest those, dry them, make a tea or even just powder them maybe and pour them on your soil, that would be a good fertilizer for your seedlings. I have outside my big bucket of goo of like a whole bunch of weeds and grasses and plants that I just dumped into a bucket of water, and it's been sitting there for like 2 years this year. So that I just mix, I put in more stuff, mix, put more water, but that is very potent stuff. It's very heavy with anaerobic bacteria, and that stuff is not for indoor use because I think that would be too much organisms for little seedlings to fight. So I can't use that inside, even though I really would like to experiment with it. So for now, I'm sticking with the tried and true methods that I've seen. Over here, we do have a round of basil and beets started up. It's been 3 days, and I'm seeing activity on the basil, so that's great. The beets will take a few extra days. So these I keep here because this is warmer than the basement, and I've got a setup to keep them warm. This is the artichokes. Those are doing nicely and need to be watered and fed. My lettuce. And this is obviously pineapple top. We shall see if anything comes of that. That's a little experiment for the kids. And then this, I didn't learn my lesson last year. Sweet potatoes. I decided I had the ones in the basement storing and they've outgrown. So I put them in some containers and basically some neglect here and there. They have vined all the way. It would be touching the ceiling if I let it. What I'm going to be doing is cutting up the vines every 6 inches and then letting it root in water in a few weeks because it's still way too early for me to be doing this. I'm really like just causing this stuff to suffer. Like here, this has been in water, which I haven't changed hardly, and spider mites are devouring it. So I'm not too hopeful. This is the stuff I saved from the garden. The lantana that I brought in has no problem being inside, so I'm glad I saved the lantana and didn't leave it outside. All right, so now this is my setup for the heat-loving plants that I'm starting up. So here I've reset my grow light. It's not finished yet. The cardboard is to deflect the hot air that I will be using to keep the area warmer. Oh, normally this is the warmest part of the house, but we've run out of wood for the wood stove, so the wood stove is done for the season. So this room is no longer hot anymore. It's tolerable for most people, cold for me. Right now the heater's been off for a few minutes or an hour, so it's 72 degrees right now. When I run the heater, it's like 90 degrees. So I'm still playing with time that it's on and distance from the eventual trays that will be here. Yeah, so this will be holding the peppers and eggplants and eventually tomatoes. So I do want to keep this in the mid 70s range. That's in the like 23, 24, 25 Celsius. All right, so this is the super duper most expensive grow light I've purchased to date. It's I think it's a Vipa Spectra, which Brian at Next Level Gardening was talking about, and I liked his spiel, so I decided to invest in one. Plus, they were having a sale. All right, so this is just a coat rack. Unfortunately, it has like these bars at the bottom that keep it stable, but not ideal for trays necessarily. So I have to make sure they don't fall off of this. And so the trays are gonna fit down here as best they can. This is super strong light, so it doesn't have to be like right on top of the plants. And then I can either adjust the cord to raise it up and down, or the coat hanger itself has the ability to go up and down. So that gives me a lot of options. So that is the future of the heat-loving plants. And there's one more project. No, it's actually become two projects. Like I've been one of these people who like to take on things and experiment. You know, that's just who I am. But 2015, when we were living in Reno, something really jump-started or clicked that I wanted to be more of this DIYer, homemade stuff, naturalist type person. And I'm doing it little by little. I don't jump into things full bore. But back then I had not committed. I don't commit to much of anything. I did, what is it? So baking soda as a shampoo and apple cider vinegar as a conditioner. So that's where I started. And I still do those things today, even though it's like a weekly thing that I do on top of the other stuff, because like my hair type, it doesn't feel comfortable using that product by themselves. I'm sure it's just, it's something that you just get used to, but I don't want to get used to it. I'm good with the system. No, I'm not good with the system I have now. I'm still looking for the perfect product for myself, but I add in that extra stuff, the vinegar and the baking soda, to like a rinse. It's a rinse to refresh my hair and my scalp. All right, anyway, enough about that. So I go through periods of these DIY homemade stuff. And one of the things at the time was makeup. And at the time I was living somewhere else. I didn't have the stuff. I didn't want to buy the stuff because, you make a little thing, but you have to buy a whole bunch of big products to make a little thing. And at the time, it wasn't the right thing for me. So I held off on that. Now, recently, we had the loofah that we opened up, and I was really wanting to make soaps out of them. So they're still on hold because I'm waiting for the stuff to make soap out of. It hasn't shipped yet. The last time I made soap was in 2003. The last and only time I've ever made soap was in 2003. It was for my wedding favors. I decided that I was going to make everybody soap. And, I wrote out the little pieces of paper that says, with love from us for our wedding, and tied it up with a nice ribbon. And they came out really cute. And in my search for those rhubarb seeds, I found the molds that I kept. It pays to hoard some things. So I found the molds, and I'm super excited because now I just had to buy the soap base and a couple other things to make it interesting. So now I can go through and process a few of these loofahs to make soaps. But with that purchase, gives me the opportunity to make mascara, which is pretty much the main makeup, other than like lip stain, that I use. And I don't really use it that often. So the ones I buy, even though I find them expensive, they take a long time for me to use them. So it's not really that expensive. But I like the idea of making my own. And now I have the ingredients to make them, because over the years I've acquired these other main components to use in other things. So it's not just for makeup or some, small little project. Now I have other uses for them, so they get used up and don't go bad and whatnot. And last but not least, I just was obsessed for some reason with trying to do soil blocks for putting the peppers and eggplants and maybe tomatoes in. Well, maybe not the tomatoes so much, because I don't know, we'll see. But I was obsessed that I wanted to make soil blocks, and being that I don't have soil block makers, it was a process to make squares or rectangles and then cut them up. And yeah, I'm not really sure how well these will hold up. I don't exactly have the right ingredients either. I'm just using the soil that I use for everything else. Just compacted them as best as I could. And this is what I've made so far. And this is what I will be putting those seeds into in a minute. So after I seed, I'll take care of the nettle tea. And it's time to water the seedlings. Oh, by the way, I was I did a lot of watching this week. No, I do a lot of watching every day, but I picked up quite a bit this week. I was watching a time lapse on some flowers or something, Lysianthus or whatever. And as I was it was a window plant. It was plants in a windowsill, and you could see as the plants are growing, they're following the light, sunlight, and they're moving back and forth. And I'm like, hey, that's how plants strengthen their stem, other than wind and other things. So I was like, okay, I can do that. So what I've been doing is at night I push my trays all the way to one side. And this is kind of, I don't know, convenient or whatever, but this is the east and this is the west. So my plants are following the sun per se when I do this. I push them against the back wall, but at night when the lights are out already, so that when the lights come on, it's as if they're being hit by the sun on the east side. And then at noontime, I move them to the middle. And then sometime in the afternoon, I move them even further. And this way, see how I'll show you. These are leaning in this direction. And then now that they're in the middle, they'll try to lean up. And then in the evening, I move them out and they'll start to go that way. So the stem is doing the swaying thing, and that helps to strengthen them along with the wind that I have going for a couple hours in the morning. So it's a little bit afternoon now, so I'm going to move these to the middle. Oh, my snapdragon's getting buffeted here. And I'm not doing a very good job filming. And this is definitely a labor of love, not for everybody, because it's enough work as it is just to keep these plants alive, and having to wrangle them back and forth is not worth it for most people. But they're actually starting to show their second set of leaves. So if the weather cooperates, I should be able to get these outside soon. Oh, by the way, so typically I've been using this continuous spray for hair, and that was great, but not good enough. So I splurged and I got an electric sprayer. It's USB chargeable, and I'm still working on the setting of the mist because right now it's really strong, but it's kind of good because it also, let's show you, it's a very wide spray, so it kind of gets a lot more wet than I would like. But it also helps to move the leaves, but I'm not here pumping at it. And unfortunately, it's plastic, but you can only do so much. But I am very happy. This was the biggest indoor, like comfortable. This is two liters. This was comfortable for me to carry around. So I like this size. They come various sizes and various shapes and colors and whatever. But yeah, I splurged on that a little bit. I'm going to spare you the gory details, but this is what I have come up with. So the eggplants will share this container. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 6 blocks of each. 6 and 6 will be bell peppers, and the other will be paprika. The chamomile I will be winter sowing because it requires cold stratification in the corner there for 2 to 4 weeks. So we've still got plenty of winter left to make winter sowing a good option for those. Oh, this is a mixed bag. This could be anywhere from Thai chili, poblano, jalapeno, Thai chili. Did I say that already? What else was there? I don't remember. But this is where I got what looked to me like habanero, but reading a website it said could be Thai chili, so I'm not sure about that. But this is seed that I saved from that habanero looking pepper. So that I'm gonna hold off on because I don't know. Because it's a mixed bag and I don't know what I'm getting. And then in this one, which is I have a few more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 and 10 is going to be one side, 1/2 jalapenos. And this I saved from another batch of jalapenos. And the other side will be poblano. That is today's growing task. And luckily, I found a bunch of sticks, so I only had to make a couple extra for labels.